Hey guys, hope you're doing well. It is Ben back again with another video. So today, what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be going over is the discovery part of a sales call. So I'm going to give you a live breakdown of a discovery, what it is, and for those of you who don't know what a discovery is, and you're thinking, what the fuck is that, Ben? Like, tell me what that is. So what it basically is, it's in my opinion the most important part of the sales call, and in most people's opinion. And really, what I do here is, as my job as a closer, I need to find out more about the prospect in this discovery. In the name, I need to discover more about them, see where they're at, see what they need help with, see what their goals are, and really determine whether this person is going to be a good fit for the program that I sell. If they're not, then I'll tell them. If they are, then I can then speak to them about our program, what we do, and kind of take them through like more of the logistical side of things. But first, it's my job to find out more about them, and if I feel like we can help them, then I then need to get them to a position where they're pretty much ready to buy. Get them in a buying state is what people like to call it. So instead of me yapping on about it, I want to just show you an example. I'm going to pause the video at key parts throughout, really explain the process, explain why I'm asking questions, what I'm actually doing. So yeah, hopefully you'll find this useful. So let's dive into it.
Nice one, man. Nice one. How's your day been?
Good. It's early here.
It is 5:30 p.m. I'm in Spain. Whereabouts are you? I'm guessing you're in the
I'm just going to keep it on 1.2 speed as well.
States, right?
Yeah, San Francisco.
Awesome. Okay, so you really are the other side of the world to me.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Just to give you a quick overview for the call, kind of what we're going to talk about today, what we're going to go over. So to begin with, just want to start out by finding out more about you, where you're at currently, what's where you're looking into potentially wanting to get some help working with us, what the goals are, what you want to achieve from this. Then from there, once I get a good understanding, if I feel like we can help you, I'll run you through the program and everything that we do. If I feel like what we do maybe doesn't align for whatever reason, I'll just be completely upfront with you about that. But either way, I'll try and give you as much value as I can. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Awesome, man.
Cool. So what have I done there? So firstly, again, some people, I like to just start a conversation, just having a little bit of small talk, just finding out a little bit about them, kind of having a bit of a laugh with him. People come on these calls, they know most of the time that they're being sold to. So you want to kind of just like bring down the sales resistance straight away. By that, I was just made a little joke like, oh yeah, you really are the other side of the world to me. He laughs, I laugh, right? It's just a bit more, it's not really funny, but like, it's just a bit more, just makes it a bit more human, more of a human interaction, which is why I like to do that. And then from there, I've set the frame with him. So I've told him, okay, this is what to expect. This is what we're going to go over on the call today. Really me asserting authority on him and telling him, right, this is what we're going to do. Some closers don't like doing it. Some closers like just going straight in and asking the question, like just going straight into questions. But yeah, it's personal preference, and I just prefer to do it, which is why I set the frame. So yeah, now we're going to dive right into the discovery.
So tell me, first things first, what was the main motivation behind wanting to book in this call?
The main motivation was I know you guys have like a group chat or whatever Discord server, and I figured it would be useful to be part of that community because just various questions that may come up, and being around people who are doing the same thing, I think is beneficial. So that's what looked appealing to me. So yeah, and I found out about it through YouTube on a step.
Okay. And are you currently selling yourself then?
So currently I have a seller account, and I'm currently about to start.
So for me, it's important to know whether he's selling on. So what I teach is Amazon training. So it's very important that I know whether he is selling on Amazon or whether he's not, because I'm going to go down two quite different routes depending on whether he is selling or whether he's not, which is why I've asked that straight away. I usually wouldn't ask that, but I just want to find out now, just trying to gather information.
My next seller journey, because in 2020 I sold on Amazon for a bit, just one product, and now I'm just starting to launch my second product, but there was a huge gap between. So
okay, was it a private label product you were selling before?
Yeah.
Okay, and what happened with that? How come you stopped selling it?
That's a good question. Basically, my motivation, I wasn't really motivated to grow a business, and the product I was selling no longer felt like relevant to what I wanted to do. So, and Amazon didn't feel relevant to what I wanted to do. So I basically just ran out of stock and then never reordered.
Okay. So with wanting to start again then, like what's the personnel out?
So at this point, I know he's not really a current seller. If he was selling on Amazon now and he already had a business and was doing well, then I would go a different approach. But because he sold before, and this was like 5 years ago, I would now class him as someone who isn't selling on Amazon. So I'm going to go down my kind of normal line of questions here, kind of go down my normal like route of conversation. So you'll notice the first question I asked him is what was his motivation behind wanting to do this. So here, the reason I asked that question is because I'm looking for like an overarching goal. I want to understand like what's his overarching goal? What's the overarching thing that he wants to achieve? And once I know what that overarching goal is, I can begin to link back to that throughout our conversation. But when I asked him, he gave me kind of a bit of a shit answer. He was like, oh, I've seen you guys online. I like your YouTube. I haven't understood. He hasn't given me what I want. So now you'll notice I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to loop back round and I'm going to ask him basically what's your motivation, but I'm going to say it in a different way so that he gives me an answer of what his goal is.
Or guess the overarching goal that you really want to achieve from having a business online.
The goal now is to get financial freedom. So,
and what does that look like to you, financial freedom?
The current goal is just to replace my like job income. Okay. Just so I don't have to work a 9 to 5.
And what are you currently?
So here he's given me the kind of classic financial freedom answer. Now a lot of closers would just kind of accept that and move on, but financial freedom, that's not personal to him. That's not personal to this guy. Everyone says they want financial freedom, but again, financial freedom is different to everyone, right? So I've done something called probing there, where I've gone in on that word and I've said, right, okay, financial freedom, but what do you actually mean by that? Because financial freedom is different to everyone. And now he's told me he wants to match what he's making at his job because he wants to quit his job. So that is that's like his overarching goal, his North Star. So I now know that. So now I can link back to that throughout our conversation. So now I'm going to now dive into like finding out about what he actually does for work and really why does he want to leave?
What are you doing for work?
I'm a business analyst for like a patent legal firm.
And how long have you been doing that for?
I'm like a year and a half out of school, 2 years out of school.
And then how are you finding that?
It's fine. Like it's great work-life balance, but like I'm very entrepreneurial, so my long-term goals are much different than the industry I'm in right now.
Okay. So what is it specifically that makes you want to start a business online instead of just focusing on jobs, staying there for the next 5 years, just having that work-life balance like you mentioned?
So I've asked him like really, okay, so what is he doing for work and how does he feel about it? Does he like it? And he's like, oh yeah, it gives me great work-life balance. And it's like, okay, well look, if in my head, what I'm thinking here is, okay, well if your work-life balance is so great, then why are you on this call with me? He's on the call because he wants to start a business. So in my head, I'm thinking, right, something's not making sense here. So I've asked him the question, why not just continue working in your job? Like, why even start the business? Subconsciously I'm saying like, look, if work-life balance is so good, then why not just continue with your job, right? So I'm kind of like leaning out. I'm leaning out a bit is what I like to call it. I'm leaning out and I'm kind of saying, well, why even do this, So we'll see what he says.
That's like never been an option. Like I've never wanted to like stay in the corporate world. It's more so just like the reason I wanted to be in the corporate world was because I needed like a financial basis to do like entrepreneurship from. So, yeah, so I kind of need the job right now, but otherwise I want to be in my own business for the majority of my life.
Okay. And what is it specifically about the job that makes you want that goal? Like, what is it about the job that doesn't align with your future? Obviously, you want to work for yourself. You've got the entrepreneurial spirit. But is there anything specific that's kind of making you realize, right, this isn't what I want to be doing for the next 10 years?
It's like freedom and like creativity. There's like.
Do you feel like you don't have that freedom right now with the job?
I kind of do, I guess, in a way.
So here, I'm trying to find out. I don't have an understanding of what his problem is. I don't have an understanding of by the sounds of it to me, there isn't like a massive problem. You know, he keeps talking about his future. He keeps saying, "I want freedom. I want this. I want that." So I'm thinking, okay, I'm basically asking him the same question, but just three different times, right? A lot of closers, they would just kind of move on at this point, and what I've been taught over the past couple of years is that they need to understand what problem they have. So I've said to him, "Why do you want to change?" He's like, "Oh, it's all about freedom," which is like that's like looking into the future. I want to understand, what is the problem? Like, why do you want to leave the job? Yes, you want freedom, but what is it about the job specifically that is making you want to leave? So now I've said to him, okay, so you want freedom. So do you feel like you don't have freedom now with your job? So I want him to tell me he doesn't have freedom with his job. I want him to tell me the reasons why he doesn't.
Way, like, but I just, I don't know. I can't describe it really. I've just always wanted to.
It sounds pretty good. You know, you got work-life balance, you got the freedom.
Yeah.
It sounds like things are pretty sweet. That's why I guess I'm trying to work out, like, why even bother doing this if things are, you know, all good with day to day. You know.
I guess I don't have any, like, there's no passion. Like,
There we go.
when people, for example, when people ask me what I do, I'm like, I don't want to, like, I don't want to talk about it because I don't have any. It tells them nothing about me when I tell them my job. So
there we go. Right. So I've probed there. I've pushed. I want to understand. I'm really trying to curiously understand what the problem is. So again, I've just let out and I've been like, look, mate. Well, look, it seems like things are great. Like, why even bother making the change? And now he's given me the answer that I want. He's told me that he has no passion for his job, and it's so serious that he doesn't even want to tell his friends or people he knows about what he does because it has no direct link to him and his personality. I would not have found that out if I hadn't have probed and I hadn't have asked those questions, which again, a lot of closers, they would just move on from that. You can't move on. You have to tick the box. You have to understand before you can move on. So now I know he's not passionate about his job, which is something that it's very important that I know that, right? So now from there, I can now move on, right? Move on with the conversation.
Okay. So it's more like the fulfillment side of it, would you say?
I guess so. Yeah. And like what I've always wanted to do was be my own boss. So.
Okay. Cool. And in terms of wanting to be your own boss, like you said, you've always wanted to. Like, how long has it been an idea? Like, right, I want to have my own business. Like, how long have you felt that way?
Oh, since I was little, like really young.
Yeah, like 10 years plus, would you say?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And what do you feel like's I guess, what do you feel like maybe the main thing that's slowing you down from reaching the point where you do run your own business, you have the fulfillment, the passion? Like, what do you feel like is slowing you down?
I do feel like I've been slow, and the reason is I think it's indecisiveness. Basically, I only about maybe been about 3 months since I've decided I'm going full force with Amazon again. But like before that, I was like trying other stuff and like trying to basically like an analysis paralysis, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what's worth my time, and what's actually going to get me my goal.
Yeah. And do you mind if I put my perspective on that?
Yeah, no.
So just before we dive into that, so again, I want to find out, how long has he felt like he's wanted this? How long has he felt like he's wanted this freedom? How long has he been thinking like, okay, this is the kind of life that I want? Because if he's like he said there, since he was young, since he was like 10 years old, because he didn't give me like a set time, which is why I pushed again, because I'm like, okay, so how long? Like since you were a kid? And he was like, yeah, since I'm a kid. So I think he's about 25, I think he said. So 15 years he's wanted this, and he still doesn't have it. So now in my head, I'm thinking, right, why aren't you there? Why have you not reached your goal? Why don't you have this freedom that you want? Why haven't you quit your job? Now I need to understand why, which is why I've asked the next question. And he's now telling me that it's analysis paralysis and it's indecisiveness. Like that's the thing that's kind of holding him back from getting to his goal quicker. So now I understand like the way he kind of thinks. I'm beginning to understand the way he thinks. So I'm going to push in that a bit more, find out more information.
Because I get where you're coming from. I feel like everyone kind of goes through that in their journey. Like, what do I do? Do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do Amazon, TikTok, Shopify, like whatever, dropshipping? The key thing is that you'll do well with whatever as long as you're consistent. Like if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to show up every single day, then you'll crush it and you'll make money with any business model. Right. It's just a case of actually taking the steps and then directing your time and making a decision. Where people go wrong is they'll do Amazon for 3 months, won't get the results they want, they'll give up. You know, if I take you for example, if you had stayed consistent with Amazon back in 2021, you know, where could you be now, right?
I know. Yeah, that's definitely true.
Mm-hmm. So how long do you think you felt that analysis paralysis for?
Well, I guess since 2020, I was focused on some other stuff, just like my business, because I was in university and like, you know, going on trips and stuff like that, just other priorities. And then when I came towards about to graduate, I was like, oh shit, like I don't have any business going, so I need a job to support myself after school. So, but now.
And when did you graduate?
That was 2023.
Okay. Yeah, so it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, just about.
Okay.
Okay, so again, it's so important that I've asked that question because he's saying, like, he said it about 5 minutes ago or a couple of minutes ago, the past 3 months, and this is because I'm actively listening. Like, if you're a closer, you have to listen to what they say. You need to remember what they say by actively listening. And he's told me the past 3 months he's been head down on Amazon, but something doesn't align here because he's wanted this for 10 years. He left school in 2023, 2 years ago. So it's like, hang on a second. You were leaving school, like you just told me, knowing that you wanted to start a business. So why has it taken you 2 years, and why has it only been the past 3 months that you've been like actually dedicated to this? So I'm beginning to understand that. And if I go back to what the other thing I said, I offered him my perspective, and I really like to do this with people when they're like, oh, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I basically say to them, because it's the truth, everything works. You just got to pick one and you've got to be consistent and you have to put in the effort. So I'm kind of getting away from, I don't want to like sell him on Amazon. You know, a lot of closers might be like, well, Amazon is the best business model because this, and this is why you should do it. You don't want to do that. You don't want to like push the sell. You just want to lean out and just be like, look, everything works because it does. You just have to pick one thing. And his problem is he hasn't picked anything and he hasn't stuck at anything, which is why I've said to him, look, if I'm going to put it in your shoes, what happens if you just stuck with Amazon since 2020? You know, where would you be now? Getting him to realize that he actually needs to commit to something to get the result.
And I feel like you do know, but you see how that analysis paralysis has kept you in the same spot now and not got you to your goals quicker. Like, that's the reason why you haven't got there, right?
Of course, yeah.
And what would happen if, or what do you feel like you've lost due to that analysis paralysis? Like, what have you lost in the past 2 years because of this indecisiveness?
I've lost time, I guess. I think I have, so I've been doing stuff, but yeah, as you said, I've like, when you don't commit to something, it won't work out. So I've learned lessons through the thing. So I don't regret what I've done so far, but it's made me ready for this next chapter of yeah.
Okay. So why not just stay indecisive then? Just keep doing what you're doing. Like, what happens if you just keep this mindset for the next another 2 years? Like, what happens then?
I run out of time, and then I have to do it. I have to do it now because basically I'm gonna get older, and I'll get older, and like then I'll get married or something, and then I'll have kids, and then I'll have too many responsibilities to take the proper risks. So I need to do it now.
And look, you don't have to do it. Like, you don't have to do anything, right?
Yeah.
You could just stay in the same job, keep doing what you're doing. But again, based off what you've said, that's not what you want to do, right? So you're open to being held to that, I guess, a higher standard so that you can actually achieve your goal. You're open to being held accountable so that we can actually get you to where you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. It's not an option to like not. You know, for me, like I feel like I can't. You only live once.
Yeah. And do you feel like I'm curious, do you feel like there's anything or any reason why specifically you're like, right, now's the time? You know, was there maybe like a bit of straw that kind of broke the camel's back, as they say?
So before I move on, I just want to explain, because this, in my opinion, is the most important part of the sales call, is getting your prospect to take accountability for where they're at. A lot of people will kind of skip over this part of the call. And I used to, I'll be honest, I used to do it when I first started out, because I would be kind of scared to kind of push in and challenge a prospect. But you need to challenge a prospect. If you don't challenge the way that they think now, then they're going to give you objections later on, and you're going to have to tackle them later on. So you need to try and tackle as many of the objections as you can now. So with him, I've basically said to him, look, like, do you see how this mindset has been the thing, this mindset of indecisiveness, of analysis paralysis, this has been the thing that has actually held you back from achieving your goals. Like, do you see that? And he's agreed with me, and he says, yeah, I know. And I know that now's the time I need to do this. And I've gone in deeper. You have to push deeper. I've said, like, what does it cost you? He's definitely not thought about this, but what has this cost you the past 2 years? You not taking action, you having this analysis paralysis, what has that actually cost you? And he said time. Like, time's a big thing for him, because as he said, he's not young forever. He wants to have a family. He's basically wasted 2 years. Right, and he doesn't regret it, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to challenge him on not regretting it, because he probably still learned a lot. But you need to challenge the prospect. It's not. You're not being a dickhead. If you say it in the right way, you are saying, "Look, mate, do you see how this has happened?" They agree. You say, "Look, what's it cost you?" And now I'm saying to him, I'm getting a tie down from him. I've said, are you open to being held to a higher standard? Are you open to being held accountable so that we can actually achieve your goal? And he's now agreed to that. And he said, yes, now is the time I have to do something. And now I'm going to push even further, because I want to know why. Like, why now? He left school in 2023. It's been 2 years. Why is it suddenly now he's on this call with me and he's ready to take action? Because it's really important that he and I understand why, him and I understand why now is the time that he actually wants to do something about this.
Let's see. I mean, that's the thing. It's always been the time, like, the earlier the better. But because of the indecisiveness, it's like taken a bit. You know, it's I'd say, yeah.
Okay, but you do feel like now's that time you're ready to start putting time, effort, and energy into making this happen.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, in terms of that higher standard, then, you know.
Okay, so yeah, here it's just like doubling down again. Like, you do definitely feel like now's that time you're ready to make a change, right? He's told me why. I'm now going to go back and say, okay, so yes, this is definitely the time you're ready to take action. And he's even saying to me, you know, I could push in a little bit more, but again, I've already been speaking to him for 12 minutes, so I've got what I wanted. I can now move on, right? So yeah, he said that the time's always been right. It's just the indecisiveness that's held him back. So again, he's taking ownership, which is the most important thing for me. So I'm happy with that now. So now I'm going to move on to the next part of the call.
You know, Dylan running your own business, getting you to where you want to go. Like, to put a tangible figure, like, what amount of money do you actually need to be making per month from this business so that you can do this full time, you can have your own thing, have that control back, that, you know, that freedom that you mentioned?
I guess I don't know that exact figure. Do you mean like revenue or profit, or like
Profit.
in my pocket?
Yeah, money in your back pocket. Like, what does that need to be per month?
Probably like I guess like 5,000.
5,000 initial target.
Yeah.
And that would allow you to take a step back from the job and focus on this.
So, yeah, I think so. I don't even know when I get paid per month, but yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay, let's say 5, and then again, hopefully that continues to grow. But again, like, 5 is 5 really where you want to be?
No,
and
not
you've got higher aspirations, right?
Not long term.
What's like, again? Because if we aim for the minimum, right, we're gonna get the minimum. So what's, like, without saying sky's the limit, like, what's like a figure you've had in your head where you're like, oh, if I can hit that, like, that is going to be an amazing moment for me. Like, I'm going to be really proud of myself if I can get there.
I think I think more so like an exit. So, like, I know you guys talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exiting for 7 figures.
Yes, exactly. In like
Awesome.
2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it takes.
Love that. No, I love that. I think that's really cool that you're thinking about that instead of the figures. Okay, so let's put you in that position then. right? Because again, it's really
Okay, so why have I asked that? So now I understand where he is. I understand his problems. I understand why he's not got to where he wants to go because of his indecisiveness. He's taking accountability. Now I want to know, okay, where is the higher standard? Where does he want to get to? What's the goal? Now you'll notice that I kind of I went back on myself there. So I said, what amount of money do you need to make in order to quit your job? And that's cool. Like that, he's here, and to get there would be awesome. But the gap's not that big. I want to make this gap as big as possible so that he realizes that he needs help with this, right? So I've now said to him, okay, but look, if we aim for the minimum, that's what we're going to get. And that's something that my first mentor taught me, that line works super well. So what is the actual goal? Where do you really want to get to? Now he's telling me he wants a 7-figure exit. So there's a big difference between making 5K a month from a business and having a 7-figure exit. So that gap is a lot bigger now. I'm making that gap bigger to where he wants to go, which means he needs help. In his head, he's going to be thinking, shit, if I want to get to 7-figure exit, then I'm going to need help, right? Making that gap bigger, which means he's more likely to want to come on board. Excuse me.
important to think about it. You're at a point, you have this business and you sell it for 7 figures, right? You put in all the work, you put the business up. This is obviously something you wanted to do for a long, long time. How would you say things are going to be different for you at that point than how they are now? Like, what's really going to change for you?
I feel like I'll finally be like in my own skin. I feel like, which is an emotional response. Yeah, just like I'll be able to. That's how I feel.
And what do you mean, like when you say in your own skin? Like, what do you mean?
Like what I felt like I've always wanted to be, but like haven't amounted to, basically.
So fulfilling your potential.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Man, and again, it is emotional, but it's true. Like you got to think about these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And actually achieving that. And again, I'm not trying to sound like a therapist here, but how would that actually feel to be in your own skin finally, achieve those goals and make that happen?
It would feel really good. Yeah, I'm sure. But I'm sure, as things go, like I'd be looking for the next thing. But it would feel great too. I guess the big thing with that would be finally being like a competent entrepreneur.
Because the thing is, man, I want to give you confidence. Like, you can definitely do this. It doesn't matter if you wanted to for 5 years and you haven't got there yet. Like, you can still get there. Like, there's absolutely no reason. As long as you're committed and you're going to put in the time and the effort and energy and you're going to take action, then you will get there.
Yeah,
100%. Right. And if I play out the other angle.
So this is what's known as the future pacing, that little section there, right? And it's understanding where do they want to go? What are their goals financially? How's their life going to be different? And get them to really sit in that feeling. How's that going to feel to achieve that goal? So first, I understand he wants a 7-figure exit. So at that point, how I think it's going to be different. Now, he's given me a really powerful answer there. He said to me that he's going to feel it in his own skin finally. That's a very, very powerful answer. And the reason I got that answer is because previously in the call, we've had a very honest conversation, and I've told him, look, you need to take action. You need to make a change. Your indecisiveness is keeping you where you are. So now he's more likely, I've built rapport with him. And people talk about rapport a lot in sales, but rapport isn't asking someone what the weather's like where they are. Rapport is asking the challenging questions to people that they've never been asked before, and really holding them to a standard. And I've done that with this guy, and now he's giving me a really emotional answer because he trusts me. He wouldn't tell me, if he didn't trust me, he wouldn't tell me that. If he wasn't open with me, he wouldn't say, oh, I'd feel in my own skin, because that's a pretty personal thing to tell someone, right? So he's given me that answer, and then I've gone, like, how's that actually going to feel to achieve that, right? And sometimes I like to caveat that with, like I did there with, and look, I'm not trying to sound like a therapist, but how would that feel? Because sometimes when you ask people how it would make them feel, sometimes they kind of like, oh, like they get a bit weirded out by it, and they're like, the sales resistance goes up a bit, especially with guys from the UK. In my opinion, if you haven't sold to UK people, then you're not a true closer, because those guys, they're definitely the hardest people to sell to. But yeah, that's why I did it with this guy, just kind of like caveating that, getting out of the way, and then he's told me like how it's going to feel to actually achieve the goal. So from there, I'm just giving him a bit of confidence, and I don't always do this, but I really do believe it. I'm saying to him, like, look, mate, like, you can actually do this, but you just have to commit. You have to take action, because I genuinely believe that. You can tell I'm genuine when I'm speaking to this guy, because a lot of it is mindset, right? You need the right mindset as a closer so you can coach people and lead people in the right direction. And I'm saying to this guy, look, like you can definitely do this, but you just need to take the action. You need to take the next step. So now I'm going to go into what is known as the cost of inaction.
I'm not saying this is going to happen, but what happens if, another 2 years go by, the analysis paralysis stays, the indecisiveness stays, you never start the business, you never keep going, you never fulfill, you never get in your own skin. What happens if that genuinely becomes a reality in 2 years' time from now?
That's that'd be bad. No, can't do
How would that actually feel if you were there in 2 years' time?
I think I would still be looking, trying to, I'd still have hope because I'd still be trying to figure it out. So it's never going away, that desire. So
yeah, 100%. And I can tell you're committed. I 100% can see the commitment in your eyes and through what you're saying. But if we actually get there, commitment aside, how would that feel if you're there in 2 years' time?
Again, he's not telling me. He's avoiding the question massively here. He's like, oh, I'm just going to keep working. Oh, I don't want to think about that. I'm pressing. A lot of closers wouldn't do that. They'd accept that answer. They'd move on. I'm saying to him, no, how would that feel if you get there? And then he's like, oh, well, I'm going to make it happen. He was like, oh, I'd still be committed. And I'm saying, and I'm going again. I'm pushing again because he's not telling me, he's not really answering my question. So I'm saying to him, no, look, mate, I understand you're committed and I know that you want this. I'm softening the blow a bit. I'm saying, look, I know you're committed, but it's not about the commitment here. Commitment aside, how would that actually feel, right, to be in that position? So that's what I'm really asking him. Is he's not answering my question, so I'm asking it again.
I know in the moment I've somehow justified it in my head, but if I'm looking at that now, then that's scary for sure.
Mm. And the fact that you were justified at the time, do you see how that mindset is the exact thing that's holding you back from achieving your goals?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely will.
You have to push. You have to challenge people, right? It's that mindset again. He's like, oh, I'd probably justify it. And I'm saying, well, look, mate, the fact that you would justify this being in the same position in 2 years' time, that is the exact reason why you're in the position you're in now. And he agrees with me. He knows it. He's getting a bit awkward, right? Because it's a tough question. He's probably never been asked that before in his life. And this is one of the biggest things that I learned. Actually, it was from a guy called Josh Lyons, who I've never learned from directly. But he's got loads of good free content. I definitely recommend you watch him. He said, as a closer, you want to ask prospect questions that they've never, ever been asked before in their life. And I completely agree with that. I think that is such a good thing to have that mindset going into the call. You want to ask these people a question that they've never been asked before. You want to get them thinking about something that they've never thought about before. And if you do that, then you're doing something right. And again, that's how you build rapport, by asking those types of questions, by asking the hard questions, even if it's a little bit awkward. You know you're in a good position when you ask a prospect a question and then they start looking up in the air and they're really thinking about it. They're like, shit. Well, yeah, that would it would be scary. If they're doing that, then it shows that they're really thinking about the question, which it means that you're doing a good job. So yeah, again, I'm just challenging his mindset once again, because he's just, if you don't challenge stuff now, then you're gonna have to challenge it later on when they give you objections.
And at the end of the day, who's in control here? Whether we get you to a point where you can sell your business for 7 figures.
Yeah.
Who's in control? Is it me? Is it my dad? Is it you? Like who is it?
Yeah.
Right. So.
And again, just a bit of humor here. Like you got to soften the blow sometimes. You don't want to be Mr. Serious throughout the whole sales call, right? You gotta have ups and downs of emotions. And yeah, I'm just making a bit of a joke here, but then I'm also serious. Like, who's in control? He says yes. Right? What does yes mean? He hasn't answered my question. So I'm like, well, who's in control? Is it me, my dad, whatever, your dog, your nan's fish? Right? And he's now saying, yeah, okay, mate, yeah, it's me. I know it's me. Right.
Are you ready to draw a line in the sand with this and just give this absolutely everything you possibly can so that we can actually get you to a point where you can achieve all of those goals that we just spoke about?
Yeah. And I think I've actually drawn that line for myself already. And that's part of the reason why I even put out there with something like this, because I feel like it's a net positive thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, being on the call is great, 100% heading in the right direction. But the way I like to think about it is this: you being on the call is like standing outside the gym, right? You walked up, you got out of your car, you're at the front of the door now. But progress isn't made through jumping on these calls. It's made through getting in the gym, doing the reps, doing the weights, getting up those early mornings and making it happen, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Well, look, I definitely think we can help. Again, I think it's...
And again, you've got to challenge people. Like, he's saying there at the end, like, oh yeah, well, I've already drawn a line in this. I've already drawn that line for myself. And it's like, well, if you've drawn the line for yourself, then why are you on the call with me? Why haven't you achieved this already? And I'm saying to him, look, basically, it's all well and good you saying, like, talk is cheap. It's all well and good you saying, yes, that I'm going to make a change. Yes, I've drawn a line in the sand with this. I've already decided I'm going to do it. But, you know, I can say that I want to run an ultra marathon, 100 miles. Like, it doesn't mean shit until I actually do it. You know, you can say all of these things. And this is just a lesson I've learned throughout, not just sales and anything. If you say you're going to do something, do it first after you say it, right? Sorry, do it before you say it. Right? That's so important. So yeah, he's basically said that, and I've now challenged him again. And I've just been like, look, mate, I get it. And I've done what's known as like a reframe or an analogy. I said, yeah, it's all well and good. If you want to lift weights, you say you want to go to the gym, but progress isn't made through going to the gym door. It's made through putting in the reps, doing the hard work on the days that you don't want to. And I've said, like, do you agree with what I'm saying? Because I want him to like acknowledge and agree. Because if he doesn't agree, then we can have that conversation now, get rid of any of those objections now before we move forward. But yeah, that is pretty much everything. I just want to show you now how I transition from the discovery part of the sales call into the pitch of the sales call, where I'm actually now going to show him the product.
It's just a case of taking you from where you are and showing you the road. You've clearly got the commitment. You want to get there. That's the most important thing, is you know where you want to go and you're ready to put in the time, right? It's now just saying, right, this is where we need to go. These are the steps you need to take. These are the things you need to do. Follow along. And if you do that, then we'll get you to where you want to go. We'll get you to a point where you can sell your brand in the next 3 to 5 years. As long as you stay committed. Again, I just think the biggest bottleneck, as we've spoken about, is the action. You know, the taking the action and beginning to put the places in step. But yeah, as I said, I definitely think we can help. So what I'd love to do from here is basically run you through what we do, you know, the program, how we can help you, what that basically looks like. I'm just going to run you through really the plan over the next sort of 12 months, like what that's going to look like. How does that sound?
Good. I'm curious what your story is.
Okay. Well, that is everything. With the discovery from here, I kind of tell him a bit about myself, and then we go into the pitch, and I show him the product of what we do and what we sell. As you can see, there's a lot more time in this call because this guy, despite everything I did, he still did bring some objections to the call. But I'm going to save that for another video because we're already 40 minutes in, and it's juicy. So I think it would be a cool another video to break down. But yeah, I hope that's given you a kind of a good overview. Again, just at the end there, what I'm really doing is giving him like a personalized reason as to why he'd be a good fit. Because I definitely feel like he would be a good fit. You know, the thing that's holding him back is he doesn't have accountability. He hasn't taken the action. He's been indecisive. And I'm basically saying to him, yeah, I definitely think we can help you. I'm showing him that I've listened by saying, look, these are the specific things that are holding you back. And this is how we're going to help you get to a point where you can actually achieve your goal. And now from there, I'm now going to dive into the program and what we actually do. So yeah, that is my discovery of a sales call. As someone who has done this for almost 2 years, has taken hundreds of sales calls, has closed just under 2 million in sales, 4 different companies. So yeah, if you're interested to find out more about how you can become a closer, how you can make money online, travel the world, do all these things, and again, you know, it's not the kind of plush lifestyle that everyone makes out. You still have to put in work. You can't just kick your feet up on a Thailand beach and drink cocktails all day. You know, you still have to do work. But if you want to learn, and if you feel like watching this, you think, shit, this is pretty cool. Like, I feel like I could do this. Then drop me a message on Instagram. I'm going to leave a link to my Instagram below. I'll also probably leave a link to booking a call with